Welcome to the Simply Be Found Huddle. You have Dean and Rob, the co-founders of Simply Be Found, where we talk about everything raw. Today we have Brandon joining us. Brandon, can you introduce yourself to everybody so they know who you are and what you're about?
Thanks for having me on today. My name is Brandon Leibowitz, and I have been involved with digital marketing since 2007. Kind of just fell into it after I graduated from college. I got my degree in business marketing. And one of the first jobs I got out of school was helping a company out with their digital marketing, which I didn't really know much about it back in 2007. They didn't really teach it to you in school. I mean, they did a little bit, but not really. And I told the company that. They said, don't worry, we're new to this as well. And we're going to learn with you, taking you to classes and workshops and seminars. And I said, all right, let me give this a shot. And after working there for a few months, I kind of realized everyone's probably going to have a website in the future. And digital marketing is not going to go anywhere. And SEO is a way to get free traffic. And who doesn't want free traffic? That got me to focus over the years more on SEO, working at different advertising agencies as a director of SEO. And before work, after work, and on my lunch breaks, I'd work on my own company, and eventually built that up to where I was able to quit my job and been doing this ever since, just helping people tap into that traffic from Google or search
That's
engine.
awesome. That's awesome. So I've been in this space for 30 years. I'm a little bit over 30 years now. So I've seen a lot of changes in those 30 years inside of the digital marketing world, and where websites have came, where SEO has, how we've repackaged stuff like AI, what we've all done. So as simplybefound.com, we work, and I don't think you're on with us, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see you inside of the list of agencies that we work with. We work with hundreds of different agencies inside of our system, and mainly small businesses. So we have over 70,000 different businesses inside of our ecosystem for what we do. What I like to ask every single agency when they come on is, what are you seeing inside of the market right now? What's changed in the last 90 days? And kind of just what's that temperature that you're seeing?
I feel like it's the same for everyone nowadays. It's that AI. It's that inevitable AI just causing such a big disruption that everything else that's changing is important, but AI is just so big and it keeps shifting and evolving and changing, and new AIs come out, new models come out, and people are going to use AI now, or are they searching on Google, or is it informational on AI and transactional on Google, and what's going to happen with the way people search. But yeah, that's just really just trying to figure that landscape out nowadays. Is a tricky part.
So, Brandon, we're more of a do-it-yourself type of network or platform. Is that kind of your approach too, where they do it yourself, or do you kind of more help your clients kind of thing? Is that what, are you seeing that kind of tendency in your world? And if so, why did you go that direction? Out of curiosity.
No, I do both. So I do it done for you and also teach and do consulting and classes, and it just depends on the business owner. A lot of them don't want to do it themselves or don't have time to learn SEO, because the backlinks are just such a big piece of it, and it takes a lot of time to build backlinks. And most business owners just think you put a couple keywords on your website and that's going to get Google to rank you, but that's not really enough for Google. That's just kind of scratching the surface. There's a lot more that goes into SEO to really get Google to want to rank a website.
Now, have you checked out kind of what our software does by any out of curiosity?
Yep, a little bit, but I've definitely need to add myself to your website because that gets you more exposure. Plus, you probably get that SEO backlink as well, which is also a little 2-for-1 right there.
Exactly. So, I mean, when we go through and we do it and we're working with all the data, I think that's probably one of the biggest pieces. I see a lot of agencies out there where they're focusing on just the Google side and they're not focusing on all the different networks. I've seen an increase in Bing. I've seen an increase in Yahoo. Of course, we've had the AI piece inside of there, plus the voice search. When you're doing stuff with your agency, are you just focused on primarily that Google and AI piece, or how are you exploring Bing and all the other networks that are out there?
No, it's trying to get you up anywhere, because with SEO, it doesn't matter if it's Google. It could be Yelp, it could be Amazon, it could be ranking you on YouTube. So a lot of local businesses I'll help them rank their website, get higher on Google business profile, but also help them rank on Yelp, because depending on your industry, Yelp can bring a lot of traffic for like restaurants and home improvement, home service type businesses, contractors. So just try to figure out where your audience is and how to get in front of them. But always try to optimize for everything: AI, trying to get in those voice search with like question and answer type content, getting the AI, adding schema markup to the website, to those pages. That way they can pull that rich snippets in and get that data. But it's just trying to figure out who your audience is. And nowadays they're kind of everywhere. And it's trying to figure out where is your main audience. Let's primarily focus on that first, get those rankings, and then let's start hitting all these other places. But it's tough nowadays because there's so many new places that keep emerging, and it's tough to track that stuff as well on AI. So it's just a little vague kind of what's going on behind the scenes, at least with search engines, you could see, and social media where the traffic's coming in. But with analytics, you can't really see too much with AI yet coming in. But
yeah, voice search and AI really don't have much inside the analytics. It doesn't look like they're probably going to. I was actually talking with a couple of the uppers at some of the bigger companies out there, and they're really just trying to chase it. So right now the technology's gotten so much further down the road than what they've built that analytic piece for. And when you really look at analytics across all the different websites that are out there, we still rely majorly on Google for those analytics, and their analytics aren't 100% either. So it's one of those things to where that makes it really super difficult. But there's so many different networks that you have to make sure you're going to for the SEO side compared to where we were. If we're going back into 2017 or even 2008, 2009, we have so many other networks that all depend on what it is. And everything is all kind of connected and kind of combined inside of there for how I look at that data set. So our platform works with, right now, we say 800 plus networks. This new release that we have coming out is going to take us up to about 1,500 networks total that are inside of ours. So give or take in there. Obviously, you have certain ones that are going to be for, home contractors, dentists, restaurants, and that'll kind of take that list down for which ones will work, except yours, because obviously you can't be on those networks if you're not that type of thing. But being able to focus and get the profile correct on there and having that consistency, I still see as one of the top things. Do you still see that as one of the top pieces, is having that consistency?
yeah, you don't want to confuse the robots because, they're pretty smart, but they're just robots. And if they see your information is like your phone number is different on different places, they're not going to know which one is accurate. They could probably look at the dates, but still that they get confused. And the easier you make it for them, the robots, the spiders, the more they're going to reward you with better rankings, better traffic, because they understand fully who you are, where you're located, what your name, address, phone number, what services, all that stuff is really important for consistency. Because if you change addresses, then you got to change that everywhere on the internet. You got to change it on Google, but also on Apple, on Yellow Pages, on MapQuest, and all these other websites that you might be listed on, to make sure that those robots, the search engines, don't get confused.
And that's an absolute huge piece. The other piece I'm seeing, and I'm hearing from a lot of the agencies that we work with, is they're starting to see search traffic go down. And my prediction on that, my insights on that from what I'm seeing, is you have the AI coming into Google, you have the AI inside of Bing. And I'm a big believer that all these search engines want to keep the traffic inside of there because they can make more ad revenue. So it used to be back in the day, they wanted to get you to the website, and it was all about that piece. Now they're keeping you more on the site. Are you seeing the same thing, or what are you seeing for that right now?
Yeah, but Google's been doing that since 2013 with those featured snippets. They've been trying to keep you on Google and not let you leave Google, because they know if you're searching for something really general, like what's the age of an actor, they're going to give you that answer right there. Because if not, there's not going to be ads there. Not many people are going to run ads for those keywords. And Google wants you to stay there, hopefully do another search and be like, oh, what movies was this person in? And then you'll see all these ads pop up. But nowadays it's even more prevalent. But since 2013, I've been seeing, depending on your business, like Wikipedia got hit so hard back then, and they're just dropping traffic, but they're still on the top 10 most popular websites. So it's just that give and take, and understand like, all right, I might not be getting this traffic, but I'll be referenced here in this featured snippet or this AI overview. So people will read the answer, see me there, and hopefully then recognize my company name, and in the future use my services. But it does change everything, and how people find you, and getting people to your website is much, much more difficult, because once people get to your website, you get full control. You could collect emails, you can run remarketing ads, but if they don't go to your website, they're just going to see your name, but you can't engage with them after, which that's the tricky part, is got to figure out how to get multiple touch points for people to just read an AI overview or a featured snippet or a knowledge graph or something like that, where they're not going to your website, but they're just getting that data strictly from Google, pulled off from schema primarily.
Have you seen the new Google Gemini that's going to replace overview, to where inside of chat, you're actually going to be able to hold a conversation with it? Have you played with that at all?
Not too much. I have to check that one out.
Okay. So what they're going to do is they're going to be putting it inside of the actual, that overview piece, that's the AI piece that's in the actual search. What they're doing is they're going to make it to where then you can interact with it. So no different than being on Chat GPT. You can find out reviews, find out which is the best, and you can have that conversation with the actual AI inside of search, which is going to, in my opinion, is going to change how search is happening right now. Because if you're not providing the right data points and providing the right information out there, for one, you're not going to be inside of that AI. But now, instead of it being a static piece, it's an organic piece. It's definitely something that's more, since you can have that conversation, it's a moving target. And you might have one person get this result and you have another get another, because of their search traffic and their history and everything that Google knows about them, which I think it's going to take the industry and flip it on top of its head, because I don't think a lot of agencies are going to even realize how to be able to play inside of that. How are you protecting yourself to make sure you're ready for that type of stuff?
I'm just trying to step on all the changes, but just so quick, so it's tough to see what's going to happen next, or even how to optimize for that, because all this stuff is so new and it's all about testing. With SEO, it's always about testing. And
yeah, what I find interesting is that in our marketing world, what we're into right now is kind of, Rob and I call it the Wild West out there a little bit, and there's not a lot of empirical data. So it's really hard. It's opinions and trends, and it depends on the knowledge base of the people that are helping you with SEO to help guide you. Do you feel the same way about that?
Yep, it's kind of just everyone's running around with their heads off trying to figure out what's going on. How do we figure this out? Is this going to stick around? Are people going to stop using Google.com? Are they going to go to Chat GPT or Search GPT and all these places? And it's just an interesting time right now. But
it is. What are you doing for the voice search side right now?
I'm just trying to make sure you have questions and answers, or questions that people commonly ask, and answering those, and then marking it up with schema. But trying to figure out like what questions people commonly ask and incorporating that onto the website, onto the different pages, like FAQ style content, and then writing those answers out, optimizing the way those answers are written out to make sure they have the keywords in the right places at the beginning to show relevance, to try to get picked up. But those are the main ways, is just trying to figure out and asking clients, like, what questions do people commonly ask you? Let's try to figure out which are your most common questions, and then I'll do my own research, and then let's add those to the website and try to get you to answer them in your own perspective. And then I'll go in and do some SEO on those answers to make sure that it's easy for Google to pick it up, read it, see those answers at the beginning, see those keywords at the beginning, so it all aligns and has that relevancy.
So you're approaching that more in the AEO, or the answer engine optimization type of realm.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Are you doing with your agency? Are you working with any of the networks like Apple or anything like that?
Working. What do you mean by that?
So are you submitting the data over to those networks or no?
Submitting which data? Like submitting
like all of your business information. So like what we do, we submit out to all the different networks, and we make everything pop up and everything, and get your backlinks for your local SEO. Are you doing that for the voice search piece for your clients?
So you mean like Apple Connect?
So you have Apple Business Connect. You have also your Siri networks.
Oh yeah.
Alexa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you seeing good results on that, or what are you kind of seeing?
It depends on the question, how it's tough, but the less competitive those questions and answers, those keywords are, then they move up faster. But the more competitive, bigger ones, those ones are tougher to move, unless I'm working with a big brand. But usually I'm working with like medium-sized businesses or small businesses, and to be able to move the needle on some of those bigger keywords, it just takes more time, and that's just the patience. But the voice, find the right questions, I feel like is the most important thing. Find the questions that people commonly ask and trying to target those.
Well, so one of the problems is our service area industries. And people go, they're not being found on maps. How do you help? Or I mean, we know how we kind of approach it. I'd like to hear how you kind of approach some of the service area businesses that say, I'm not being found on Google Maps, and I'm not being found on Apple Maps or Siri. How do you guide people that way, or is it kind of like, because you're not going to give an address out? How do you approach that for some of those kinds of clients?
If they're not putting an address, it makes it tougher. If they can't put an address, it makes it easier, because I say, let's look at your competition and let's go into Google. And like one of my clients, they're like, I don't want to put my address. I'm like, well, look, when I search for your keywords, everyone has their address. You're the only one that doesn't have your address, and you're not on that first page, because it's going to be tough. I mean, eventually you can build it up without an address, but if everyone else has an address, you should probably put an address, get an executive office, or something like that if you don't want to put your house or anything, just to get up there. But if you can't get an address, then that map name, address, phone number, citations, getting those map embeds on third-party niche-related websites, trying to optimize the profile, but just making sure that you're on other maps. The more maps you're in with that consistent information, the more trust Google's going to give to that map, making sure reviews have keywords, making sure your images have keywords, the file names, and making sure all that information, the EXIT, I think it's called, and all that, like right-clicking on the images before you upload them and changing all the property settings before, not just changing the file name, but trying to get deeper into that and just trying to optimize it, fill out as much information as possible. They say write 500 characters, don't write 400 characters, write 500 characters, because content is one of the most important things. And if you can add more text to anywhere, that's always going to be helpful. So trying to squeeze those keywords in, but then also making sure their on-page optimization matches all that, has a map embed, has those keywords around that map, and then just try to get those signals from, well, if they're not getting driving directions, and trying to get those local signals where people call them or search and go to their website. But if we keep their local business with their address, the physical location, trying to get those map signals or the driving direction signals always helps out as well.
I mean, those things all are kind of inside of that whole piece of that traditional kind of SEO side, which, I mean, I think is going to have a little bit of a change that's coming up. I think it's all good still to practice in there, but I think there's going to be some newer stuff that's coming in to that whole piece. I think if you don't have those, the funds to be able to hire someone like yourself to come in and do all the SEO side, having the content in there is going to be what's going to be the key part of that piece. Making sure you're registered on each of the networks is still going to be priority, in my opinion. Is to make sure you're registered and make sure you have that content, and then being able to back it out. For maps, my approach on that and kind of my opinion is it depends on what kind of industry you're on. You're going to see a big change inside of, and Apple's really pushing for this change inside of it from what I'm seeing. So is Google, that if you are a service area business, unless you have a brick and mortar that someone would actually want to come to and has the foot traffic to it, they don't want you inside of maps. They want you inside of their directories for like Google Business Profile and other pieces. But being inside of maps isn't the huge part to that. And the reason being is because your service area, they want to really push their service area pieces. So I'm seeing a bunch of changes that are coming to that, to where they want that side. So it's going to be more related to your city pages on your website. It's going to be more related to pulling those data points that way. Or would you agree or disagree?
I know it's always important to have good on-page optimization, because if not, you could have a good business profile listing, but it all ties together. There's lots of pieces of that puzzle, and the more you're able to layer and add to it, the more likely that they're going to want to show you. So having good on-page optimization, good, like you said, city-specific pages, you want to go that route for each city that you want to target, and then just make sure you have good content, original content that's useful and beneficial for the reader, not just some cookie cutter kind of find and replace city pages, but putting all that information and making it useful for the reader. And then if you can embed that map, but if they're not going to let you do that, then just finding other signals, other strategies, and just testing. Because if that's not going to be the same way that used to be, then we got to figure out what's going to work. And it's always evolving, and there is no constant with digital marketing. It's always changing.
There's nothing. It's constantly always changing. So your big piece that I'm seeing there, just that I'm gonna toss out there, is your longitude and latitude. So you can take your longitude and your latitude. So what we do inside of our system is we capture that information. If you're doing it as a service area business, you can literally take it and put it in the center of the town that you're targeting, as long as it's the matches your city and state that you are in. And you can put that longitude and that latitude inside of there, and most of the map pieces will pick that up, and then it will actually make that data kind of collect in. So you have the data pieces that come in from those city pages that then connect inside of your local SEO to each of these. So as those scrapers come through, or those spiders, or however you want to look at the algorithms, as they come in, they're getting smart enough with AI that they can take that information and they can combine it together. So when you use something like Simply Be Found to be able to do that, you're going to be able to put that data in, and then you can back that information up by using keywords. And inside of our system, you can also do what's, inside of the long tail keywords inside of there, to where you can say, I'm a painter in Greeley, Colorado, and put that piece into there. And that brings in your city pages or your city areas inside of that as well, which then connects it and combines in. What I'm seeing a lot of the networks out there doing is they have, one front for the average person to come in and log in, but they collect a lot more data on the back end. So when I look at it from that data science piece, that's kind of what I'm seeing inside of there. So when you're doing that, if you're not using longitude and latitude, I don't know if you are, I recommend you making sure you're using that.
Yeah, but WordPress, I use a Rank Math as a plugin. So
okay.
Use Rank Math, they always say latitude, longitude for local, which is nice. So, but not for each city specific page. So it's just more for your whole website as a whole. Here's the latitude, longitude of your business, and they put that in. So after I saw that a couple years ago from Rank Math, I was like, it's interesting. I've never seen latitude and longitude. Maybe this is more important than I thought it was. So I'm glad you're bringing that up, because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it.
I used to be an advisor for Rank Math and some of that stuff, and gave them a lot of their insights for what they pull in for some of that stuff. That there's stuff for my whole entire back pass. So I like Rank Math. I use it on all of our sites that we do, that we have inside of there. It makes it super simple to go through and do your SEO. I like that piece.
Yeah, it's a great plugin. So definitely help them out. Give them some good tips, because it streamlines a lot and kind of merges like 5 plugins in one. So I don't have to have all these extra plugins slowing down WordPress websites. Don't have to work on them anymore. I can just get one plugin that has kind of like a Swiss Army knife, has a bunch of tools in it.
There you go.
Yep. We have a tool that we developed out that's called the AI SEO Pixel. And we have so many people on it right now. We ended up pulling it off because it got so full on it. But it would actually go through and it would do the internal linking and take Rank Math to a whole new level. We're looking at bringing it back at some point, which is going to be really cool as far as that goes, because then it ties more into your network piece. Our network piece is how we blast out is pretty cool for all that.
Awesome. No, I'll have to, once that reopens, you gotta let me know. I'll have to check that out.
What are the biggest tips that you would give anybody when it comes to SEO if you were talking to a small business?
Patience is one of the biggest tips, but building backlinks. A lot of people don't know what backlinks are, or they go on Fiverr and I see that they have like this huge spike in backlinks 1 month and it just stables out or is dropping over time. And backlinks are really a big piece of building trust with Google, is trying to get Google to trust you, because keywords are great, but without those third-party trust signals, it's tough to rank. Google's said they put less emphasis on backlinks, but I still haven't really seen a website without backlinks rank. I've seen websites with much, much less backlinks rank than normal, but I feel like you still got to focus on quality over quantity and get some third-party trust signals just to let Google know that, hey, other websites are talking about me, and just doing it in the right way is the biggest piece, is not just building a bunch of backlinks, but just building a couple every single month, just here or there. You don't have to go crazy and build hundreds or thousands. Over time, you don't have to build it up, but that's the other thing, is like patience and slowly keep building it up and building it up, because SEO is not immediate. It does take time, and a lot of people get discouraged and be like, I don't see any ranking. It's like a month and a half. I'm like, it takes some time. I wish it was faster. We can run Google ads if you want to get immediate results, but SEO is really that long-term play.
It's that long-term play. It's that base inside of there. And I recommend taking a look as you're building those backlinks up. Take a look at our listings engine. It's an awesome tool to be able to use to be able to get those backlinks for you, and to where you're doing it from one spot. So we actually replace out. We compete head and head with Yext, Bird Eye, all those guys. We don't do the review side, but we do all the backlink side for that, for your local SEO and building those profiles.
Yeah, that's helpful because you need those foundational for local. You want those foundational. Those are like the easiest backlinks to get for your local business. Not the best because Google knows anybody can just sign up and submit there. But then if we get those like niche related sites that are like really localized ones where it might be a local blog or local trade or local directory, or if like my clients had a Mercedes-Benz and there's like a whole Mercedes-Benz forum that's just huge and gets so much traffic. So finding those type of sites and honing on them, but you gotta set those foundational layers at the beginning of like Google Business Profile, Apple Maps, or Bing Maps, Yellow Pages, all that stuff.
So
there's so much that all ties into that.
Gotcha. So what you're talking about backlinks, do you find that, are you hearing things out there that if you belong to like the chamber or to nonprofits and you can, you're part of the local community, if you will, and they reference your business with a backlink, do you find those more beneficial? Or I know there was a trend for that right before the AI big push, that there was more value to that. Do you agree with that, or do you see a difference, or what's your thought on that process?
No, I like to do them all, but I know Google knows there's lots of websites where you just buy 500 listings and they get you on like freewebsite.com, freedirect.website.com, free directory listings USA.com, and all these really just kind of basic sites that have no relevancy. And Google says, all right, these are fine, but you can just go on Fiverr, or you could go on like Bright Local and any of these websites and just buy them really quickly, and they're not the best. But going for those higher quality ones like Google Business Profile, they know you have to like submit verification. You can't just sign up, or Apple Connect and all those other ones. But having that local presence is always good to get in those local side directories, just so Google knows, hey, I'm having a local presence here. I'm not just on all these bigger sites that everyone is in, but I'm also in some more localized sites to help show that I'm in this city. But Chamber of Commerce, I feel like, is always good because it's good for networking, and you can probably get some, depending on your business, you probably could get some clients out of it that pay for the Chamber of Commerce price. And then you get that backlink, you get that listing in their maps. And so it's kind of a 2-for-1 for the chamber, but it's not always like that. Like if you join like BBB or something, or some general one, you're not going to get that networking aspect of it. But the chamber is always a good one that I tell people. You could join multiple chambers in your city or in your area. If you're in Los Angeles, there's a chamber in every city. So you could join 50 or 100 chambers and get all of these local listings. I'm going to go crazy to do that, but you can if you want to, in essence.
Yeah, you do that, there goes your ad budget for the whole year if you join all the chambers.
You'd go broke instantly. So there is a piece to that, Dean, to kind of dive into that. From my opinion, is that the chambers have a major effect inside of it. So they're considered an authority and a trust factor inside of the Google algorithm. So is BBB. So there actually is a whole entire piece that's inside of that. So they're looked at as an authority site, which is going to build onto your 3 pillars. So your 3 pillars, your content, authority, and trust. So as you build up that content and you have those backlinks inside of those, you're going to build your authority up, and it's going to give you a higher ranking. It's not going to be a drastic thing that's going to make you, number 1 inside of a page or anything like that, but it's going to give you that authority piece if you utilize it correctly. You got to make sure it's inside of your schema if you're going to do it right. You also have to make sure it's inside of your footer and link back to your profile. So that causes a dual connection back and forth. And I'm not sure if we're doing that on our site currently, now that I think about that. But you have to have that that connection that goes back and forth that causes that connection. And once you do that and point both directions, you're actually going to create that authority and that trust piece. It's almost like having an extra review inside of there. But they know you had to pay for that slot. And I agree that going to Bright Local has tons of sites that are just absolutely worthless inside of there. Some of those are going to have a little bit of value in there, but a lot of them are not going to have any value whatsoever. But it still builds up that authority and that trust piece.
Mm-hmm. Well. And also Google looks, like you said, you have to pay for the chamber. A spammer, fly-by-night company, a hacker, they're not going to pay. I mean, they might pay for one, but they're not going to pay for the BBB, the chamber, and all these other websites. So the paid directories like even like DMOZ, like that one back in the day, that was huge. Like getting these ones where it's like more exclusive or tougher to get in, those hold some more weight. So Google's, anytime you're investing in your business, Google says, all right, now we trust you a little bit more. Still don't trust you, but trust you a little bit more because you're putting money behind it. So most people that are just throwing these shady, sketchy websites would never do that.
And it's all about there. So when you're looking at it on that data side, it's constantly going for the listings engine. It's constantly going out and trying to find those niche sites as well, to where you can actually get into those and giving you that authority piece. And where was I going to go with that? There was something else I was going to say. Damn it. I lost my train of thought. I don't remember.
That's usually like, ooh, there goes my
I love, everything's changing so much there. I love having these conversations because then I bring something up like, hey, guess what? This will go there. And I go, oh, shit, we're not even doing that on our own site. What the hell are we doing?
There's so much going on nowadays. It's trying to connect all the dots. It just keeps on changing and changing so quick.
It is dynamic. Like it's always changing. And it's hard because what you were doing 3 months ago wasn't relevant, and now today it's more relevant. So now you got to make sure you're all up to date and current. I think that's how I kind of feel as a small business owner sometimes, that you don't need to do this, but now you should be doing this kind of thing. So
that's what keeps SEO or digital marketing interesting, where it's not the same thing over and over again. Every day it's pretty different. I mean, now it's a lot more change than it used to be, which is a little scary for a lot of people. Everyone's like worrying like what's going to happen. Is SEO dying? But we'll have to see. Ever since I started doing SEO in 2007, I've always heard SEO is dying in 2007, 2008, 2009, 10. Everyone's been saying that. And I'm like, as long as there's a way to search, I feel like SEO is not going to die. It's just going to change and evolve and shift. And we just got to shift with those changes.
You have more. So we did a whole podcast this week, and I want to say it was one with Chris that we were talking about it. I mean, everything is a search engine. So ChatGPT is a search engine. Gemini is a search engine. So all of your AIs. Bing is a search engine. You have all these different search engines. So the big thing that's changed is you have multiple different ways that people are finding you. So you have to make sure you spread your information across as many places as you possibly can. Just like when mobile phones came out, you had to make sure you're found on a mobile phone. Well, now there's so much more to that, and it's a bigger ecosystem that you have to go for. So I see a lot of people focused on just the Google side, and really, I think that sets them up for failure in a lot of ways because there's so much more outside of the Google network. I mean, the number one search engine that passed over that I saw this week is YouTube. I mean, Google owns YouTube, but it's one of those things to where you've seen a lot more stuff inside of YouTube for searches. ChatGPT searches are way up. Claude's coming out. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff coming out for that. So we're moving We're moving faster than when we were in the 90s as we were going through all this. But yes, everybody's always wanted to say SEO is dead. SEO will never be dead. It'll just be repackaged in a different way. And that's where propaganda comes into the picture. And any marketer will ruin anything that is good because they'll overuse it and they'll spam the living shit out of it. Then they got to change it because it doesn't work anymore.
Pretty true. It's kind of spot on from what I've seen over the years. Yeah.
I mean, well, we can't say that anymore. We already sold that. I literally went in. I was advising inside of an agency once. And talking to them about how they could grow their agency to scale it, because what they wanted to do is they wanted to be able to sell their agency. And I came in, they hired me as a consultant to do it. And I walked them through all this, and they literally said, we changed the name of this product to be this so we could sell our customers again.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's all that psychology, just changing things up and rebranding it and then giving new packaging, like, hey, here's this new offer, but it's the same exact thing. But that's
right, same thing we're doing. It's kind of like in the SEO world. I tell everybody, when you start to build up your SEO and you build up your foundation to where your foundation's really good, you are going to get more spam calls. You're going to get more people trying to sell you services for it, because what they're doing is you're using everything that you just fixed, and they don't have to do any work, but they want to come in and charge you for it. And that's how they found you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Once you're visible to people, spammers are going to find you. I get 10 or 20 calls, unfortunately, too many spam calls every single day, and 50 emails every single day of people pitching me SEO and digital marketing and all that stuff. And yeah, it's crazy. It's unfortunate. But yeah, business owners always come to me once they start getting some traction where they were like nowhere before. And then I start doing some SEO and they move up to like page 3 and then like getting all these spam calls. I'm like, how do I stop it? I'm like, that's just what's going to happen. We just got to keep moving you up to the first page and get you some real calls. But once you get to like page 3, all those scrapers come in and just trying to pull your information in and pitch you a bunch of stuff that's not needed.
It's 100% the game. I used to tell everybody, so back when I had an agency that we only did like hardcore SEO type stuff, I would tell them if the spam calls stop and reduce, I want an email telling me those are doing it, because that means your stuff probably isn't working.
Unfortunately, you want those scams. It's like taxes. You don't want to be paying taxes, but more on taxes, not a bad thing. Those phone calls, same thing. You don't want to deal with those spam phone calls. At least now you can see it says spam, but even then I get some of my clients that call me up and it says spam or potential leads. I'm like, shit, maybe I have to answer all these calls. And I do unfortunately answer all those calls just because you never know. And it's unfortunate.
So I have another business, and Rob doesn't know where I'm going to go. I made a couple of changes to our business profile, and all of a sudden, all these calls started happening. My production manager walked over and said, "What the hell are you doing?" Because all our spam went away. All those calls came in again, and he was furious with me about it. but that's the problem when you make a change, and it triggers things, with those robocalls or whatever, where they're dialing them up, So, and my only comment I have, if you've got good SEO in your ranking, you can hang up with confidence, is what I like to tell people.
Yep. Just hang up and just be ready for the next one. But
yeah, exactly.
They never give up. They are very, very too persistent, which is a little frustrating.
Exactly. And Brandon, if anybody wants to get a hold of you and be able to talk to you more and be able to, learn about you, where would they find more information about you?
I created a special gift for everybody. So if you go to my website at SEOoptimizers.com/gift, that's SEOoptimizers.com/gift, and they can find that there along with my contact information and classes I've done over the years. I've thrown up for free so they could see step by step how to do a lot of the stuff that we talked about. And also, if they want a free website analysis, I'm happy to check out their website from an SEO point of view, and they can book some time on my calendar for free there as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Is there anything else anybody wants to cover today?
I think I'm good. How about you, Brandon?
I would say main thing is just patience for business owners. So
yeah,
I always keep telling them, be patient with SEO. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Even if you're just getting little wins here or there, that's still improvements. And over time, it's going to grow and keep growing and get you to that level that you want to be at.
And I really appreciate you saying that, because we say that all the time. And it's not just, it's nice to hear other marketing people that just work with SEO say the same thing. It takes time.
Yeah,
it does. It takes time. It's and Amazon has ruined everybody for thinking everything needs to be instant.
TikTok, Amazon.
Not everything ends up on your front door the same day.
Patience is a virtue, and you got to be patient sometimes. Good things come to those who wait. So building.
And if it did, and imagine if everybody could get on page 1 same day. No one would ever get there.
Nope. No one would use Google either. They'd be like, Google's just full of junk. Not bad either.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Brandon.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You have a great day, sir.
Thank you. You too.